Okay. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for March 31st, 2022. It is now at 5:30. We have in front of us a consent agenda. Call the meeting to order for March 31st, 2022. It is now at 5:30. We have in front of it.
So that's what I sound like.
But we can take a minute to just take a look at the minutes and the consent agenda information.
I had one question on the expenditures.
Yep.
So there's a couple charges here for the Wendigo facility. One of them's got funding and the other one's coming out of the general fund. Looks like the contractors coming out of our fund and Olson Associates. General fund.
That should be capital outlay. That switched.
Did you guys ever look into reorganizing maybe some of the design fees under the contractors so that they could all go into the grants and whatnot?
We are with what we're going to talk about later tonight, but I don't think they did with building 3, but I'll check on that.
That's it.
Make sure we get that other change.
Okay, any other questions?
On the advertised positions, how does that number compare to what is typical this time of year? Is that an average number? Is that more than usual? What's
Pretty average. I mean, we're not as bad as my previous place at Neosho. There we went through about 25 to 30% turnover every year. Peter has been here long enough. I would say it's probably on the high end of what's been average the last few years. Anything that shook anybody up.
A couple of those brand new positions. So the placement positions you're talking about, HVAC.
Business we've had over quite a while.
Yeah, that's been a rolling process. EPD position new and was posted in the fall. So some of them they're kind of lingering out there and just haven't developed a good tool, but a couple of them are new. So I'd say it's lower than last year actually.
Which one are the new ones?
On the advertised position. Go ahead.
Full-time business administration instructors new, the EP welding CT assistant is new, but has been posted since fall. The CET IET instructor is new as well.
And on that one, that had been grant funded. Now it's the grant's ending, so now it's at the point where they convert to faculty. Business instructor we've had open.
The third time posting it.
And we've had applicants for some, we've interviewed for some, either haven't accepted our offer or we didn't make an offer.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I do need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes. General agenda.
So we have our new finance person is here, so don't scare her. Carrie Bellamy. Carrie, go ahead and tell everybody about you.
So I am originally from Goodland, Kansas. I went and did my undergrad at the University of Nebraska at Kearney, and I got my graduate degree from Washburn University. After college, I moved back to Goodland, worked at a bank for a number of years, primarily in the loan department there in Goodland, and a couple days a week went out to Bennett, Colorado, and worked in their loan department out there, mostly ag lending, commercial lending, problem loans, those type of things. So did that for a few years and then transitioned to tech ed. I started working at Northwest Kansas Technical College, taught there on the faculty side for 5 years, and then just recently switched to NATC. So
Welcome back to the Central Time Zone.
yes, thank you.
But the hard part is our Sonic doesn't have an E in part.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Glad she's here and she's been diving deeply into Zanzibar training.
Yes. Definitely got my feet wet in Zanzibar this week, so.
How long, what was your first day? When was your first day? Don't say today.
It was,
May 16th,
yep,
Okay, good.
during our end of academic year meetings, so she got thrown right into the fire with, let's tell you what's going on.
yeah,
Welcome. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
here.
Yeah.
Thank you, glad to be here.
Hey, on to meet and greet, Michelle.
My name is Michelle McFrank, so I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions. So I was just told to give you a little bit of kind of what I do. So feel free to cut me off at any point if I go too long. So kind of the bulk of what I do, and it's a little bit involved, but I spend a good portion of my day just answering phone calls, emails, any inquiries about Manhattan Tech, both directly to my contact and then also to the admissions line email. And then I meet with students and parents, conduct probably an average of 10 to 12 campus visits a week here on our campus. And those average like an hour to hour and a half a visit each one. So between those two things, and then I process all admissions applications and then that resulting correspondence back to students throughout their onboarding process. And then of course, any group visits that want to come with like school groups, or just organizations that may want to come and visit on campus. And that's all throughout the year. In fact, I have one this Friday as well as afternoon that want to come into our campus. So those four things take up the bulk of my day-to-day things. But then in addition to all of that, then I have a lot of other things that I try to squeeze in whenever I can. So I go to area high schools recruiting at different campuses across the state. Since my time is kind of limited on my, I guess, free time, I try to go within the surrounding like 2-hour proximity to one of those high schools. But if a counselor calls me and requests a visit, if it's 3.5 hours away, I make every effort to go there. That's really paid off quite a bit. I went down to a school west of Wichita or southwest Wichita. We've had some pretty good results from that. In fact, it resulted in actually a small high school group coming up here to do an on-campus visit from that. So I try to go whenever I can, but just sometimes it's just not feasible. I also recruit at community events. I speak at events promoting Manhattan Tech, such as like career days. I spoke at a women's group. That's actually been about 2 years ago when I did that. But if they ask, of course, I'll go. So in late September, all of the month of October, in the beginning of November, I'm on the road participating in CACRO, which is the Kansas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers. But it's CACRO. So pretty much most colleges in Kansas are members of CACRO. We have the college planning circuit that goes on in that time frame. So I, along with about 30 to 40 other colleges, will go to different high schools and gyms set up kind of throughout the state. We table and I, of course, promote Manhattan Tech along with those colleges promoting their colleges. But it's a great opportunity for high school seniors, well, actually even sophomores through seniors to meet with different high school, to meet with different colleges. And so, of course, I represent Manhattan Tech at those events. Then I work with faculty to schedule all program orientations. We have our first, well, not our first one, we did nursing and MLT already in May, but we have automotive technology this Friday. So that begins our different trade industries this summer. So we have that one this Friday. So I organize and lead those program orientations on the administrative side before I turn it over to faculty for their program orientation part of it. I coordinate STEM camp every summer at Manhattan Tech with USD 3-3. We work with I work with the different faculty that present that. We have that portion that actually starts, it's a 2-week event, and that starts actually Monday. So we've got that coming up here very quickly. I was the MC at our National Signing Day event. We've coordinated our state FFA ag mechanics on our campus in the past, although we did not do it the last 2 years. Part of that was due to COVID, and then quite honestly, we just really couldn't do it this year because it ran in the same time right after our National Signing Day event, and then our open house, and then graduation. It was just too much all in that same time frame. Of course, I give campus tours for all new employees, so I just did that recently. So that's always fun to do that as well. I coordinate with area school guidance counselors and set up our open house event every year as well. So I think we had over 500 schools, or well, 500 students that came for open house this last one. Of course, I help with graduation, as does everyone on campus with that as well. And then our course track progress on when our programs determine when students meet different stages in their admissions process and when programs fill up under enrollment. We're one away from auto tech being full, and we will be full by Friday. And then we're one away from HVAC being full as well, which we should be full by probably later this week as well on that one. And then I serve on CACRO for the scholarship committee. I do that a little selfishly, so that way I can try to promote the scholarships for our students, because I will try to really help with tech colleges. I also kind of work with some of the area, well, all of the tech colleges in Kansas, and we try to work together because we try to really promote that and kind of band together, and just because there's not many tech colleges obviously out there. And of course, I help out wherever else I can. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I do. In a nutshell. So.
And with CACRO, they help regulate when those business to high schools are, so high schools aren't inundated, right?
Right. Yes, yeah, definitely they do. And that's what the college planning conferences do. They try to coordinate so that way in fact, we can only do the college planning circuit. You can only go to those schools in that time frame. Outside of that, like now I can go, well, of course not now because it's summertime, but so when it's not in that time frame, in that October, September, late September, October, November timeframe, then you're free to go to the schools whenever you can. So then it's just a matter of timing. So.
Yeah.
So
She's either not here, or if she's here, she's with someone or on the phone.
I thought you were busy, Jim, but actually,
Oh,
you
really?
are.
She is, what she does is amazing. And, usually her phone email is full of messages. Your email is full of messages. Like an open house out of the blue, here comes, was it Riley, Fort Riley?
Fort Riley came with 4 buses. We didn't know they were coming, which was awesome, but they didn't RSVP. And so we were a little surprised, but that was awesome surprise.
She copes with that. But it's really good. I think her work with the faculty and helping them with orientations, helping us with the numbers, has really helped us with a lot of our planning. Questions for Michelle?
Where's home? Tell us about your family.
Sure. Well, that's exciting. So I live in Wamego, actually. So so that's a lot of fun. I actually have 3 kids. They're stepkids for me, but they grow up with my husband and I. So actually, we just have a doctor in the family. She just graduated med school. Our middle child just graduated medical school, and she's going to be a pediatrician. And so she is starting her residency at Children's Mercy in Kansas City. And our oldest is a teacher in Kansas City and teaches preschool. And our youngest is in the Marines and stationed at Camp Pendleton in California.
Awesome.
So we have a lot of going on. So my kids are a little bit older, so but I think that actually helps a little bit too, because I'm actually able to draw to a lot of the parents that come on campus as well. So I think that helps provide a little connection there as well. So I've kind of been through that, and so we're able to give a few pointers for parents who have never been through college, don't know what that's about, and it's easy to relate to them too. I'm a little bit on the military side too, so that kind of helps. So.
Thanks.
Thank you, you bet.
Thank you, Michelle.
You bet.
All right, so on to facility insurance renewal, attachment 6.
So we got some renewals on things. Charleston Wilson always sees where we can get a better deal possible, but they've also been great related to the service they provide us. As you know, when we had 2 modulars at the end of the road out here, at Christmas had the roof damage. Charlton Wilson was here fast and worked with us for temporary repairs and then full repairs. So they've been dynamite related to students, related to service for us. The first one is the increase on our facilities insurance. It's gone up a little over, right around $7,000, but that's including adding on the space we finished in Wamego with building 2 and what we're anticipating on building 3. It's worked with us on our deductibles for our buildings here, which relates to the more or less the value of the building. So it's not a not one size fits all approach. So like with some of these modulars, it could work into our favor to have it totaled if that happens, although we hope to get rid of it before that. So overall, we'd recommend renewal with them at this rate because they've done great for us. They keep an eye out for us. Like I said, their service has been extraordinary.
Questions?
So on the buildings, Jim, you've got the, with the deductible going to 1% per building, I assume you got each one of them valued separately.
Right. And then with that, we have the option to buy down the deductible. If that makes sense. Because when those modulars were hit, I was almost like, do we want to have to put the bill to really pay much on those when we're anticipating hopefully getting rid of it before? That's where they stepped in with this, so that lower deductible kicked into play and we were all right.
Do these one at a time.
So this one, if we don't have any more questions on CMW insurance renewal, I do need a motion to approve that.
I so move.
Second.
All right, then second, motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed? All right. Renewal of CMW insurance. Okay, next one is workman's comp with Charlton and Wilson as
Right.
well, attachment 7.
Right. And on that, they shopped around. Josh got a quote from one company and it seemed very high, and then Charlton Wilson started doing their magic. And so their quote that they came back with versus another company was several $1,000s less. Again, they've been very good working with us. With some of our personnel changes, we have had more use of workman's comp and unemployment. But we've done our best to minimize injuries on the job. We've got a couple. But again, we recommend renewal with them at the quoted rate.
Any questions? Do we just want to go on to,
Next one.
yeah,
Yeah.
before we make that.
Attachment 8, if you flip over 3 or 4, see workman's comp layout and then the quote on the page. And you've seen a slight increase each year. At various modifications. Pretty happy again with the service and what they're doing to help us.
You guys have a yearly audit that you have to do?
And with that, the other thing they've been great to work with is on our cyber issues for the liability for the campus. They've run us through a pretty strict audit on that to make sure we've got everything we can afford to have in place on the IT side, the firewalls and everything else. They've also worked with us, my previous institution after I left there, I stress after I left there, one of the administrators got fooled with a fish email. It ended up costing the college a lot. And we took that information and shared it with Charleston Wilson, so they've worked with us related to that coverage in case something happens. How we're covered on that to ensure that we've got that crisis team in place through the insurance company to help us deal with that and notify, have to be student confidentiality broken or employee confidentiality. They've been on top of the game helping us with those things. Cyber is a big worry. All of the two-year colleges have put in a request together to KBOR for next year's budget cycle with the legislature requesting some one-time funds to help everybody upgrade to prevent cyber crime at the two-year college level. There's some things that we simply can't afford to do.
Okay, any questions? Right, can I get a motion?
Chair, I move to approve Charleston Wilson's work comp proposal.
And then also we gotta ensure the cone rat, right?
Right, it all goes
Yeah,
together.
all together.
Oh, there's two of them. With that and the proposal from Conrad Insurance Group. Second motion.
All in favor of accepting both of these renewal policies, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Next, we have the succession policy. We shared it with you last month. This month would be to take action, or if you have some changes we need to make. But again, this puts in place procedure in case something happens to me and or other senior level administrators.
Was there something different from last month?
No. I've had a few employee comments going, why are you guys doing that? Something up? Oh, there's nothing up, it's planning.
Okay, can I get a motion? Are there any questions on the succession policy? Hearing none, can I get a motion, please?
I'll motion to pass this session policy.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving the succession plan for the presidency, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Do we have, discuss it. What I wanted to put before I talked to LJ on this the other day, we'll email you the document that was used for my evaluation last year, give you a chance to look at that, see if at the June meeting, if there's any changes you want to make to it. It's pretty cut and dried on how you evaluate me. We each get a chance to get feedback. Hannah compiles that. You bless it before it comes to me, then I have a chance to respond. It's one of those things we want to make sure doesn't slip on the radar. So we'll email it out to you in the next few days, so you can see if there's any changes you want to make. The next attachment you have, it's not really, well, it's on the agenda, it's a little farther down. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump to it quick. It's this one with the Georgetown data. In 2019, Georgetown University released its first comprehensive analysis of return on investment at colleges and universities in the country, 4,500 of them. About 4 weeks ago, they released an updated analysis. And the big category to look at is net present value. What's the value of your education and making you money over your career? And I looked at this, looking at all the public colleges and universities in Kansas. And my first comment, I screamed at Neil, Pratt beat us. On 10 years out, Pratt beat us. How can Pratt beat us? It's funny because we usually run neck and neck with Pratt on a lot of tech rankings. We finished number 2 on that. At 20 years out, we're number 1 in the state. Then the rest of the way across, we're number 2 in the state. We don't slip much. If KU didn't have the med center, we'd be number 1. I think this is incredible. Several of the tech colleges do well, but you look at how well we run the game for our students and their earning powers and the value of their education. If you take out the KU Med Center, we're number one. I shared this with President Linton from K-State. He came to my office about 3 weeks ago for a quick lunch. And I set this in front of him. He looked at it. He kind of paused and he goes, "Well, congratulations." He goes, "What are you going to do with this?" And I said, "Well, my suggestion is you and I do a letter together. We can send to the Chamber of the Mercury business people in town saying, we're number 2 and 3 in the state. You've got that kind of power if we work together on economic development." He said, "Yes, let's do that." But I think this is a heck of a piece of data for you to use with people. I just can't stress enough, this is pretty powerful in proving our value. So, and as you can see, some of our nearby community colleges don't fare nearly as well. So you've got the number that, you know, the dollar number you can figure out. That other number is where we fit on the national rankings. And again, we stay in the top 17% across the board in national rankings out of that 4,500. Any questions on that?
No question, but I think you should be commended for the ranking that you achieved. I think that's fantastic.
Here. We've been promoting it a lot.
Good work.
Yeah, the first one that came out a few years ago, we were in 4th place behind K-State. Washburn Tech was 1, KU 2, K-State 3, we were 4. So, made up some ground. Okay, Sarah's not here. Like I said, she had a flight change. She starts vacation tomorrow and they got to be in Kansas City at the airport like at 5 a.m. So they're going in tonight. Josh is traveling today to a conference, our Gensbar conference, and he's been on flight changes all day. Main thing on facilities updates, we've been doing demolition on building 3 in Wamego, having building meetings with Icon. Right now, the projected timeline is that building will be completed by late October. I'm going to say by fall break if we take Thanksgiving. So we'll be able to stand up classes by January for welding, electrician training. Equipment for those 2 labs has already been ordered out of our maintenance of that funds that we have. That's the basics on facilities. At that point, we'll talk more about the building higher education project later on. I don't think Brian's on. He was in line at the blood bank. I was texting over, I guess, Wamego. So if he gives enough blood, he'll be a little delirious anyway. Nathan Kim from end of year meetings with faculty, anything you want to share with the board from their perspective?
I think it was a good year, but I think it was a tough year because this has kind of been the first year that was much more normal in its cycle post COVID. I think everybody was ready for a vacation by the time we hit the end, but I mean, very successful group of students. Placement rate seems to be off the charts from what I've heard preliminarily. Just can't be more excited to go into next year.
I have anything additional to add? I would agree with that. Nice to see less COVID patients in the hospital. Our students were more appreciative. Seeing a little bit less, so hopefully more on that downward trend, but who knows?
We did have a good end of year meeting with the employees end of academic year. I'd say a lot of their concerns, or at least that were expressed, relate to how do we help everybody maintain good mental health as far as, and also physical health, but the fatigue from COVID, from the pace we set around here, the impact of inflation and other things. A lot of people are concerned, how do we do that? Peter in HR is working with Blue Cross Blue Shield because we have a lot of things available to our employees through Blue Cross. So at in-service in August, he's going to have some of those folks come in to talk to people, to share significant access to things that most people probably didn't know they have. I will mention on the mental health side, I think our coverage allows each employee up to 6 visits or consultations on mental health on a topic. So like I said, we're trying to make people aware of more of those things. The Biden administration a couple of weeks ago did put out clarification that some of the HERF stimulus funds can be used to address mental health issues with both employees and students. So that can help us pay some of those costs as well. So, and it was a good year commencement, and pinning always good celebrations. But everybody's tired. You do have the Blue Cross Blue Shield information farther back. It's again a renewal. Our policy, as a reminder, we're grandfathered in. This is probably the #1 issue that faculty don't want us to change. It is very good coverage. We do pay 100% of each employee. They have to pick up the cost for spouse or family. The increase for this next year stayed reasonable at 5.65% or so. Last year it was 28%. So we're pretty pleased with it. The overall increase is pretty manageable from a budget perspective. Let answer any questions, but they've been good to work with. We take a hard look. We do talk to them each year, but got a pretty good thing in place, so we're not going to tamper with it. It's one of the things that helps us get and keep good people.
Guess would be that your faculty is spot on in their concern over changing. Because when you change, it's always difficult in a group setting.
For the end of that, you'll see the dental insurance renewal. Again, no increase. We have that through Delta Dental. Less than 6% increase from Blue Cross, no increase from Delta Dental. Folks have done well.
Any action on that one, Jim?
Nope.
When you say that the plan is grandfathered, does that basically mean that the plan that you have is no longer being offered as a new
Right.
plan?
Right. As long as we stay with it, don't change it. We have it. I have consistently told employees at some point, paying 100% of their costs may not be feasible. Last year was still 28%. That hit us hard. It's a pretty significant issue to everybody. When people go. All right. Next item is we'll begin advertising for board positions. I'm going to call on Kim for a moment. She brought up a couple of names I'd like her to share with us related to possible people in Clay County. And Wendy, I don't know what your decision is, you don't have to tell us yet, but we do have room for a couple of more folks on the board. So I want you to share with us who you recommend we might reach out to.
Austin Gillard, he's the CEO of the Clay County Medical Center. I worked there for 30 years prior to him coming there. And from what I've heard is that he is very dynamic. He's young. He's done a lot with that small hospital to keep them profitable. He's very well respected in the community. And the other person I thought of was Scott Patterson. He's closer to retirement age. He's a pharmacist. He owns Patterson Health Mart in Clay Center and Appleton, I believe. And I know he has served on the Hospital Foundation Board and is a very good businessman, has good ethics. So just a couple people when Jim asked, did you recommend or do you know of anybody? Those were two names that kind of came up to the surface for what I thought about. So I just threw those out to him for possibilities or suggestions of people I knew, since I grew up in Clay County. So
I talked to Tony Bruna from Bruna's, and he's just like with everybody else. He's up to his neck on serving on boards. Also, I talked to Brian at United Bank. Probably don't want another banker on here, but again, he's Clay County rep. And, he said, oh, sure, I'll think about it, but, I'm serving on this board, I'm on this
Yeah.
board. And so, I was gonna give it a couple weeks and I was gonna follow up with them, but both of them names. I haven't met Austin, but Scott I have, so both of them names.
So, Heather, Hannah and I will be working on getting advertisements out in a few of the area papers. It'd be good to get maybe another Riley and or Pot. Or anybody that you think, so if you think of someone, reach out to us so we can make contact with them.
Ignorant question. Bylaws state we can have how many total board members?
9, and then we can also take action to expand.
And we currently have how many?
So
7.
now, I'll carry for a moment. Northwest Kansas Technical College has the second largest board of directors in the nation, with how many? 30?
Yeah. 15 probably consistently show up and then it extends to 30.
Under
some,
their,
maybe
under their
31.
governance, they have to have a representative from every school district in their service area.
They can change those bylaws too. if they
I would.
want.
So, so at the June meeting, we'll need to work on either the current members whose terms are ending or to apply for renewal. Also form a small group of the board to be the screening committee for applicants. And then at the August board meeting, we would put the officers. There's no board meeting in July unless we.
Is there a particular industry that you are wanting to try and get on here?
Well, healthcare has not been represented for a while.
Okay.
The HVAC / manufacturing area would be good as well. I hope at some point in the future, we can look at something related to the biotech, bioscience area. But it's really more a matter of getting people on that understand our mission, want to help us with it. Ask good questions, drive us. Don't just say yes, Jim, whatever you want. That's not what we want. People can advocate and help spread our message.
Have you had any preliminary conversations with the two people that you,
No, not at all.
these are just kind of,
They were just names that
Ideas.
popped into my head when,
We had a senior admin retreat last
Yeah.
Friday, and I just mentioned we were.
What are our limitations on geography in terms of numbers from county?
We're supposed to have one from Clay, Geary, Riley, and Pot. At least one from those, because that's our primary service area. After that, it's either have to live or work in our service area, which includes Dickinson. Go up to Marysville, if that's included. I was nominated and asked to serve on the Chamber's Economic Development Committee, so my first meeting with that group last week. Been busy. Nathan, why don't you hop in real quick, tell them a little bit about the housing project and all that we attended the other day.
Yeah, Habitat for Humanity broke ground on another project. It's on the corner of Elm and Second, I believe. So our construction and HVAC program worked closely with Habitat. So the K-State will develop plans for the house. Habitat obviously manages the project, and then we'll go in and do the construction of the HVAC on this project. I think this, just in the short time I've been here, this is the 4th house that we've worked on. They're trying to do net zero on all these houses, so that very little utility costs, and hopefully reduces the carbon footprint for all those houses. So yeah, pretty awesome. Got to be there for the gold shovel treatment. I think the plan is that they're going to hope to finish it in the next 12 to 18 months, depending on supplies. But It works pretty good for us because by the time the students have got their feet wet in the fall, we can get them in there late fall, early spring and do our parts of the build.
There are a couple brochures here about collaboration on those efforts if you want to see them. Also, Pot County annual report and highlights were mentioned prominently at both in case you want to see any of that. Quick part of the business so we can get to executive session.
I would just add that I have met Austin and had some interaction with him in the past, and I would share your sentiment about him. And I think if you are looking for healthcare expertise to add to the board, I think he would be a good candidate. And if we need to do anything to try to expedite that process in order to try to achieve results by the August meeting, I would certainly recommend having or engaging in that conversation with him. I think that would be a wise choice.
Sounds good to me. So we'll work on that with you. Good. All right. 3 exec sessions. Harry, I'll have you and Hannah stay. You two, Dean, can go enjoy the rest of the